What is up? I took a little reprieve. A little bit of light is coming in. I lit a flame. We are going to see how Spirit takes this message and makes it even more concise. As we finish out the second half of the series, I really want to be intentional about who and what is coming next as the seventh sign. So let us see who that's going to be. Cancer. Perfect. I'm going to write that down so we can't change our minds. Cancer, we're going into the High Priestess. I think, of course, Cancer feeling how the things that you are feeling that you felt, you're getting reinforcement in your life, Cancer, that the things that you feel about your life are connected to some sort of truth that's just standing now. So like maybe you're coming into news that you felt like you always felt that way, and then you get some news that affirms how you feel. That's kind of the first initial energy I'm getting here, Cancer. But let's go ahead and see what energy we have. King of Cups in reverse. I mean, it couldn't be more honest to what I just said. I feel like a page of wands is at such a place, which is where I believe you to be. You are at this place of personally wanting to discover more about yourself. You are pretty aware of what the flame is. You've found a way as through the wand suit to master your own way of manifesting. You know what you want to create for the most part in terms of this is the kind of person I believe myself to be right now. There's more I want to know, but for the most part, I am identified as like what my kind is. This is like, this is my culture. This is what I believe. This is like a self identity of the element you belong to and the stature and rank you're at. And for there to be this King of Cups reverse, when I think about how these are connecting, I'm feeling for our Cancerian energy this long running incompatibility situation that has to do with how we feel. So because you're coming into the new awareness that like how you feel has some outcome as to what goes down in your life, I believe that you're able to connect the dots over this cycle you're overcoming, which shows that like instead of the Cancer and you always going for this dynamic where something is way not in sync with my cycle and it's also not my element, but I'm trying to say that this is matching or that this is equal. Because if you partner these two things up, one person is not honoring themselves, is not even being true about who they really are. The other person in the partnership is not getting anything out of being matched up with someone who's so incompatible to them, and they're not even able to really focus on the situation. So I feel like for our Cancerian collective, you had a feeling, these feelings that you were feeling that you possessed but did not acknowledge or didn't know what to do with, they are now proving to be connected in a very obvious way to the mismatch and the misalignment that I feel like you are coming out of with this eclipse, with that cardinal energy. You are coming out of, and you're understanding that like oil and water are really not going to mix here. And I think that that's like what Cancer's energy is at this eclipse. Exactly. Because we've got the King of Cups in reverse, and we've got the Page of Cups and the Ace of Pentacles. I feel like if you are a page, something comes into you, Cancer, that peaks, that not only feels equal to you, like you're learning what comfort and safety actually feels like. Whereas things used to feel really out of body, really out of sync, really outside of your intuition. Like you're not really sure where the direction of what's going on is coming. Like this is the kind of like everything is coincidence kind of mentality. You're going from everything being a coincidence to restarting where you're at to where everything is aligned. Everything is destined. Everything is catered to you. Everything is meant to be happening the way that it's happening. So I think you're, like I said, when you were, this has to do with when you were starting a phase or there was like some sort of juvenile energy to you, when it's like when you're at the beginning of something or when you're new to something or when you're creating a new relationship or whatever the case may be, feeling like I almost feel like there was a growing up too quickly or being expected to hold the needs of something that is not compatible to you, and the abuse that can feel like when you're constantly having to go up against how you're feeling intuitively. to then get to see a little bit of, like, again, this is like getting to see, because I feel like Cancer is getting to take a choice right now. They're getting to make a pick out of what they want, right? Do you want to always feel like not compatible and not really hyper specific to the reality, the things that you're manifesting? Or do you want to feel a lot more equal give and take, and like things come out to support this and build it further, right? Because when there's things that just flow open for you and it's a full body yes, it means that everything about it. And I think this is Cancer coming into a concept of a holistic version of yourself. I think for the longest time, like, Cancer, again, wasn't in its experience feeling like, because maybe it always felt like it had to nurture things that should have been nurturing itself, maybe. I think because that was taking so much space for you, you didn't give yourself a holistic experience. So you didn't think you deserved something that was where you were and also was supported by the universe. I don't know. I feel like that's what it is. But there's this new understanding that, like, oh, there's a whole version of me that I'm supposed to be taking care of, not just this thing that I'm tending to, that I feel like the guidance is now is like, you're realizing, if I look back, no judgment on myself, but that was what that was. That was just me nurturing something that I didn't have the depth to even really nurture. So I'm really just at a dead end. And coming from that awareness, coming from that standard, coming from like looking around and being like, oh, wow, sometimes it is that simple. Sometimes the thing people warned you about, or the person they warned you about, really is as whatever as it is. And I feel like Cancer is embodying that right now, because you're the seventh sign that I'm reading for, and I was just thought about the seventh house. So I think you guys are really owning the ways that, like, for you specifically, your relationships are. I feel like Cancers are owning the relationships where, like, yeah, that person that did that bad thing, like, there wasn't really more deciding. Like, it was what it was. Like, they were as bad as people were warning me about them, you know? And so when you have an experience like that and it's time to move forward, the awareness you get is essentially so quick. It's so easy for you to be like, right, and I'm popping in and I'm going after the things that now I know that I don't have to be perfect, but I know it's going to be a lot easier to build with things that are at the same place as me versus shit that is not where I'm at and is just dragging me along or expecting me to focus all my energy on nurturing and not really getting a holistic experience. So that's huge for Cancer. Again, and I'm getting this Emperor energy because you run an empire. I mean, there's an understanding of, like, I am showing up in this masculine energy, right? Of, like, I know that I have to be acknowledging everything that I'm responsible for, you know? Because if you're finding yourself being at the whims of a King of Cups in reverse, which means you're feeling like these energies used to emotionally manipulate the situation to get you to stay focused on it when it was so obviously not comfortable for you. Like, if you were to ask yourself how you feel around these things, people, places, or things, right? You'd be like, not great, but somehow they were what you're focusing on. That's someone who has to emotionally manipulate you in order to get you to keep doing that, right? Versus now that you have this to compare to, where it's like, there's an equal around me at the same place of discovery in the same alignment with me, and the universe wants me to build it. It helps you quickly, immediately recognize just exactly what is in your empire, like what you are building, what really should you have reflecting in the worlds of oh my God, this card just jumped out. This is what I'm saying. I also feel like for our Cancers, something was asking you to rush through something where maturation was needed. You cannot make yourself into something you're not. Okay, again, I don't care how bad we desire something in life. We cannot try to physically change the compositions of ourselves just to appease the feelings and emotions of something that we cannot become. I understand if you have people that mean a lot to you that want you to be a certain way or wanted you to show. No, but no matter how badly you could have wanted to even fucking meet their demands on your life, you can't become that which is not in your makeup. You can't be for them that which they're just making up they want for you. And I know that may have meant having to confront how that need is not going to be met. But I think you spent so much of your time, Cancer, playing a role for someone that you're over here, Knight of Wands. You're giving, like, free bird, fucking riding around, like, going after the creation of it all and trying to act like not only are you a queen of cups, right? They're trying to pretend like you're somebody who's running the realm of the cups when you are quite literally a Knight of Wands. is just fraudulent to yourself, and it's like an improbability. So I think this is just about, again, oil and water, the things you could never be for other people, the things that you could never change yourself. And because you're such a feeling oriented zodiac sign, there are certain things that you can't be. I think that's what I'm trying to say. It's like, when people talk about the non-negotiables in relationships and relatables, like this is like the type of thing where it's like, can you really have different faith from this person? Can you really have these giant things in the sand that represent like completely different understandings? And I think you're recognizing that when you get a taste of something that's a little more similar and a little more supported by the universe, yeah, I was putting myself through some shit I didn't have to do. And that's what I feel like Cancer is recognizing. And they're just, again, there's that release that's coming from like, I am who I am. I am on the path that I am. I may be the late bloomer. I may be, spontaneous. I may be the main character. I may want, passion and gusto out of life. And maybe that's not what anybody my age or my gender or my fucking race should be doing, but I'm doing it and I'm being Cancer, and I just want to be free to do that. And I'm not this role or this archetype that I was trying to be for this other energy, because at the end of the day, not only is it better for me to keep my eyes fixed on what I want to be with my own life and not what I can be for someone else, but also it's not even possible. Spiritually, it was not even possible for you to do the thing you were trying to do. So this is releasing those waters, releasing the emotions behind that, Cancer, releasing the fact that like, I can't even do what these people would have been asking of me either way. So you're finally releasing burdens that I think are helping you show up in this very much, you're finally available to run your own empire. Exactly. The Devil in reverse, like I said, you were putting in hella work. There's no question you were putting in hella work, but the Devil in reverse is like shoveling away at some sort of karmic debt that, baby, the devil is going to leave you high and dry with. This is like going into things that are not going to get deeper. This is like being with someone who does not intend to do anything serious with you. This is like being, keeping friends around that do not really want to invite you nowhere. This is like, that is what going that hard. And I think Cancer was misplacing their devoted energy. You were giving so many chances, so much time to, again, this King of Cups reverse energy. And the real issue is that it was so different than who you were. Again, this is like there was a misalignment that I feel like Spirit is healing in terms of relationship for Cancers, because you were showing up having to nurture things that were not like you. So therefore you don't know how to nurture them. They should be nurturing themselves. There's a lot of things that are going on that you are out of your control here in this deal you were going into, which was, I'm going to exhaust all my energy, all my effort, all my resources on trying to build up this karma, this whatever, only for it to not even really be like the devil was even trying to keep you there. Like, some people are going to realize, Cancers are like, ooh. It's funny when I'm just choosing toxicity, like the devil isn't even over here. Like this is devil energy, but it's not because the devil was even coming for me. Like that's the thing, is like you really are free to not have to be putting yourself through this. And I think, again, Cancer is realizing that, like, by cease and desist on this relationship, this dynamic, this identity, this cycle that you've been through in terms of how you relate to yourself and other things, you are no longer trying to show up for things that it's not possible. Again, if you take it, there's so many ways that this can apply, but like if you have a certain gauge of health and you know it's not possible, or if you have a certain ability level, but there are certain things that you cannot do, you know what I mean? Like you're no longer putting yourself through the insecurity and showing and exposing yourself constantly that you struggle in this way with, accepting yourself. I really feel like putting this much work in to be making contracts like this, which are just like gonna be counterproductive, let's just put it at that. I mean, you don't have to expose that level of insecurity in yourself, Cancer. Like, we know how much you value yourself, and I think that what's coming in with this eclipse is like a sudden resurgence of that personal self-value. Like when you forgive yourself finally for like, I could have never been whatever I was setting my old life up to be about. I could have never been that. It was always good. When you accept that this would have been the outcome for you either way, 1414 Cancer, when you accept that, I mean, with something that is not possible for it to have been any other way. You get what I'm saying? Because I feel like Cancer is the sign right now that's like, you're having something is getting cut, meaning something is being like deadened, like something is letting go of something because it's no longer beneficial. But this is like the breakup that's like mutually amicable, because it's like, you know what? We're not best for each other. Like, we do have better lives separately, or we're like, these are the people that you're no longer connected with, but you don't want bad for them. You just want both of you to be able to acknowledge like, yo, you know what? Like, I just want you to do your thing over there because it's obviously different than the thing that I'm over here doing, but it doesn't have to be that. And yeah, it's a Five of Swords, right? Yeah, someone, it's a lose-lose to a certain degree because we're both just like exchanging that we're not going to battle one another. We're just like giving each other back our stuff and moving on. But what that does is it opens you up to realize how much you can attract now, how much room there is to take the place of this influence that was so about you really wasting a lot of time and energy on stuff that like is just not compatible for you. It's not meant for you. It's not compatible to you. And you don't have to live out that wounding anymore where maybe you were asked to be really mature way before you were ready to be in some sense of the word. So you're used to nurturing those around you. And so you were looking for people, places, things, partners, whatever, to validate or to feel like you needed to give yourself to. And really that energy is just better off going towards the empire you're already building as the main character Cancer that you are, right? And so right now, I think that the moon really like letting people have the awareness that like, oh, this isn't really anybody's fault because we came together under the false premise that we should force this to happen. So we don't have to make it happen. So I feel like it's like the clarity that comes out, the spiritual truths that are exchanged at this time and these dynamics that you're witnessing, Cancer, kind of unfree you. Like it's like if we were coming here and it was karmic, like if I'm only connected to you because I was in my karmic era and I wasn't in my higher self, then no problem. Then we don't have to make this messy because I think there was a lot of anxiety and fear and staying too long in things because I guess just the confrontation of like what was going on, what was the point of it, why did things end up the way that they did. But if you can just acknowledge that like the core truth of it is that like someone is making a decision that's out of alignment for them and therefore this is just the domino effect of that misalignment, I think that frees you up. You know what I'm saying, Cancer? And like I said, you're 8 of Wands. I think there's so much that you are currently manifesting with this truth. I think the truth that is coming into you that I feel like is very much outside of you. It's very much like this very emotional truth too. Again, I think it has to do in the realm of those connections that you have been developing for, it feels like cycle after cycle. You've been indebted to, you've been having a presence in them, you've been showing up, you've been cohabitating with them, living. These could be partners you live with, people you live with, family members. It could be any of these things. But I feel like there's all this spiritual information coming in about a truth that you did not know about. But the truth, in an interesting way, sets you free to realize like, oh, wow, we're really going separate paths. It like the way that their life is turning out and the way that my life is turning out is like so different. And everybody's got their different things. So it's kind of helping with this Five of Swords. Like if you had a wound, Cancer, of being sacrificed, of being the person that people let go of or discarded, and so you had to go and rebuild up yourself, I just really feel like Spirit is coming back around with you for the justice of that, to say like, oh, well, the people who were dissing you anyways, they didn't necessarily go on and have no peaches and cream neither. So, you know what I mean? That kind of helps you. You know what I'm saying? And so, like I said, I think there's also this energy. Cancer's also watching people switch up because there might be a tone of celebration around you. I feel like the truth that gets shared clears up a lot of, like I said, toxic lower karmic energy. And so I think Cancer is also going to realize who was worth celebrating, like who was really the problem here. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Cancer is realizing like, yeah, you bitches should have been celebrating me because I've been holding it down. I think there might be a part of Cancer that was like, I was always right about how I felt. You were. So whether you let the crowd influence you or the crowd is like cheering you on because you stood in your own business, the truth is Spirit wants you to remember that, Cancer, no matter how this toxic thing is coming to light, how this truth is resurfacing, you were always right about how you felt, about how they were making you feel. Because when you see the truth of a situation, you can align like, oh, that's why my feelings about it were this way. And that is so fucking helpful. Right, because I feel like, again, Cancer, this has to do with when you were coming to consciousness about what a soulmate is. I think that you were given some very false truths about universal law. So I think you were thinking that opposites attract, and that meant like you have opposite vibration from someone and you force yourself to build a family with them and say like, and look for coincidences, synchronicity. No, babe, you don't have to add no sparkle, no dust, no nothing to a soulmate. You don't have to do anything. I think Cancer is learning truly, like you don't have to, there's no needing to make people like you. Like if you're coming out of a cycle where you're like, whoa, I really have to integrate my shadow and really take some time to get out of the runner chaser paradigm, because if you don't recognize recognize, Cancer, that like you should not be convincing anyone to be or feel any type of way about who you are. You deserve, like, people who like you and are for you, it will feel like your whole self, highest self, worst self is in alignment, and you are going to recognize that like no other, because I think it isn't until you actually feel what home feels like in your bones that you can go around and realize like, oh, I should not be giving my precious self to things that don't feel like an enriching, supportive, exciting home to me. And I think that now that's what Cancer, through this experience, through this, eclipse in the last 6 months, I think it was just really driving home that like there's nothing to force. There is nothing to make happen. Love is these high ideals just are. And so if it's not populating, there isn't anything to try to create with another energy. So you don't have to get into double bondage with people because you want to project the love you desire onto the wrong person, or you want to project a sense of family onto people who are not capable of being there for you, right? And so I think Cancer is coming out of this healing where it's like just your next cycle, your future, your outcome is like you've done enough work to prove that you can just rely on your truth. Like what you like, what you want, what you can just have. Like you don't have to make yourself do. There's no more sacrificing for Cancerian energy, because I don't feel like mothers are ever thinking of themselves as needing to sacrifice. So if having your baby feels like a sacrifice, then that is not the alignment of motherhood. And I think recorrecting what we have to give up of ourselves for our children will always be just that, right? For the things we take care of will always just be that. If I have to let go of a part of myself and give it to you, you have it now, but what fills my place? So I think Cancer is redefining that in the age of the Aquarian, this sort of autonomous, self-sustaining energy and way of mothering that teaches the child to never sacrifice any of itself for things that, because the sacrifice that will leave it without, right? You see what I'm saying? And so I think that you're fixing that, Cancer, in your pathology, that like to love something or to nurture something means that you have to leave yourself behind, right? Like if you were raised in a family where the trauma was that like, in order to identify tightly with my immediate family, I had to like leave who I really was behind. Yeah, no more of that for you, Cancer. Or in order for me to be in the friend group that I'm in, I have to genuinely leave myself behind and just commit to this. And so these partnerships, these ways of relating even to yourself are disintegrating that surround this inability to really know that like, oh my God, I now know what someone who really likes me feels like. I now know what an energy that's really for me feels like, because I have it to compare to this deep cycle that I was going through where like, that is just people rejecting me. That is just something that is not for me. That is just regurgitating to me. No matter how much I deeply clinch onto it, it's still going to say the same thing. These people still feel the same way about me, right? And again, there's something about this, it can't be changed. This is like the truth that came out is like something you cannot, the incompatibility is just proven there. The incompatibility, it is just what it is. So it's something that you now need to move your Cancerian self onto something else, because this is just, this can't be moved. And so you find all of yourself. You find everything that you are meant to be, Cancer, at this eclipse. But I am so excited for you because, like I said, you have this really tangible understanding of what being valued and loved and treasured would like look like in practice. So now you really won't be repeating the same cycles that you were making at an emotional level where you're going up to and feeling like you need to like nurture or help or just sacrifice yourself to something that you know and you've already felt is not actually for you or about you. And so when you've rid yourself of that duty, you just get to deal with the realm of like what you want. I have to pee so bad. Love you, Cancer. Have a great one. Happy eclipse.